Welcome to Autism Approved, brought to you by Enzymedica. Now here's your host, Kristin Selby Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Kristin Selby Gonzalez, and you are watching Autism Approved. 1 out of 91 children between the ages of 3 and 17 are being diagnosed with autism. That's 1 out of 58 boys. We knew it was more important than ever to bring you a show that offered you hope, resources, and tools. Well, today I have two very important special guests. I'm just so excited to have you both here. We have Dr. Phillip Demio and Joyce Demio. So thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh my goodness, I am just inspired so much by both of you, and you're probably two of my favorite people in the world. So I'm so excited to have you guys here and talk about your story, and then talk about the journey of what you guys are both doing to help the community and this huge epidemic that we're seeing.
Well, it's a good word for it, journey. That's just what it is. You start off with those sneaking suspicions that you absolutely don't want to admit even to yourself, that there might be something wrong with your beautiful, beautiful child. You get those suspicions confirmed by a somewhat cold medical community, and then you're left and you're looking for resources. And where do you find those resources? You look to the internet, you look to other parents, you look to biomedical doctors who understand that autism is a medical, digestive brain disorder. It is not a disability that the school system should be handling, and it impacts everything from their nose to their toes in terms of how they're able to cope. My husband, Dr. Phillip Demio, chose to pioneer some incredible research into autism, and I'll let him speak to that. I went the other way. Instead of looking at biomedical, I just looked at what can I do to love and nurture my child and to stay positive and hopeful. Since I love cooking and I love food and I love him, all three of those came together, and I decided with the dietary intervention to save him, that I would make his food look just like others or even better. And that's what I've done. We changed his diet back in 2002 to gluten, casein, corn, and soy-free, no trans fats, no preservatives, no food dyes, which I think is so important. Nobody needs a purple goldfish unless it's been flavored with blueberry.
That's so true.
And from that odyssey, and it truly was, as I said, an odyssey. I had no idea that my all-purpose flour even had wheat in it. That's how uneducated I was, coming to a point where my child who couldn't swallow, couldn't void, and had a feeding tube now runs and jumps, bosses me around all day, had the feeding tube removed in 2007, and eats healthfully and joyfully, and all the kids want Daniel's food.
Now that's a real test to what you've done, because when they want the gluten-free, casein-free, soy-free,
sugar-free, yes.
Yes.
And that my cupcake, you can't tell the difference. So it can be done. It's difficult. Back in 2002, there was nothing on the market. Now that it's gone Hollywood, Betty Crocker has thrown her hat into the ring.
Yeah.
So it's out there, and there are products on the shelf. You no longer have to grind your own flour. I mean, truly, I felt like a pioneer. I felt like the only thing I wasn't doing was beating my laundry on a rock in the creek. It was just
didn't have time.
Incredibly intense, but to see the results. And I was the first to say to my husband, look, I don't like this diet. I don't think it's going to work. And if he loses even 1 pound, then I am not going to put him on it. He thrived. He absolutely thrived. And that's all I needed to see, was that my little bunny started to eat and become healthy. His cheeks got rosy again. He was able to sit up. It was just unbelievable. I would do anything for that child, and to see that smile, I can tell you, both of us, we still fight over who gets to go in to see the baby. He's 11. I would do anything for him, and to see him get his cookie, because when Daniel is upset, many of our children on the spectrum don't connect with anything, not with a toy, not with a TV, not with anything. They connect to food. Food is love, and food is nurturing, and to be able to give him that, my love through food, has been a joy.
Well, when was he diagnosed?
Daniel was diagnosed in 2002.
And what were some of the signs you saw?
Well, for Daniel, it was a vaccine injury, and so at 18 months old, he was vaccinated. With every series of vaccination, he got extremely lethargic, ill, runny diarrhea, eczema rashes, and they kept saying, he's just, a fussier baby, dose him up with Tylenol before you bring him in. which of course was completely the wrong thing, but I was a first-time mom. Daniel's the first baby I ever even held. So I couldn't have been more undereducated on how to handle this, but he would perseverate more on lights and fans after each series of vaccinations, but then at 18 months old, he was given 5 shots at a well baby visit, and immediately went vomiting, diarrhea, lost almost 7 pounds. We thought we were going to lose him. He was hospitalized. The pediatrician's office suggested perhaps it was rotavirus. And from then on, a series of, as we have all been through this terrible journey, MRIs, CAT scans, EEGs, terrible invasive tests, frightening tests for our babies, only to be told there's really nothing we can do. And my husband, an incredible doctor at the time, a lifelike trauma doctor, an emergency room doctor, said, I can't accept that. I cannot accept that there's nothing we can do for these children. These children are sick and they need our help. And he was an undergraduate chemist, which he doesn't tell a lot of people. He really intuitively understands metabolically what is happening with these children. He recognized immediately that Daniel was ill. It wasn't a developmental disability. It wasn't any kind of form of mental retardation because our son is brilliant. It was a medical disorder, and it encompassed constipation, skin rashes, loss of skill, loss of physical and motor planning, the saddest thing. And through his efforts, through a team of therapists that have been like family, through parents, we've gotten a boy that I can't keep up with. I will never limit his potential because at 11, he's already done everything they said he wouldn't.
Don't you love that? I love that. Congratulations to you. And I know Dr. Demio, I mean, of course, because I know you, and I just think you're, you know, one of the top doctors of the world, you know, with autism, because you jumped in when nobody wanted to jump in.
Well, Joyce is being too humble because she's one of the top moms in the world. You are too, but she was an airline executive and had all the skills in the world. And I first heard about the vaccine controversy from her. She said, I hear these vaccines are not so good, and here's an article, and sort of an alternative medicine kind of parents magazine, and I was taught to say what I told her, and I said, oh, no, they're fine. So I was the one that pushed for these vaccines, and she really wasn't sure they were going to be easy on our son. And each time he got them, she was very, very concerned about what they were doing to him.
I can honestly tell you that I asked the pediatrician, remember, I'm a non-medical person, and I was nursing at the time. I said, couldn't you just give me the vaccine here? And then I could give it to him in the breast milk, right?
Because you didn't want to give him the shot.
I didn't want him to get the shot. I felt that they were that difficult for him. And of course, they party hard and thought I was just so silly. But I felt like they were poison.
And Daniel may have had his own instincts because he didn't like getting those very much. And he basically was like his mother. She was reading by the time she was 3, reading the newspaper with her father. When he was 14 months, he pointed to syllables and words on the cereal box and said, Dad, and he read some of those things to me.
Wow.
And he was doing incredible cognitive, abstract things that you would never imagine a child could do. Then he went down after his vaccines and got too many of them in one day and just got sick, and that's when we lost him. And I really thank the fact that his mother's so perseverant and put up with my suggestions that there must be something else out there that we can do now that the horse was out of the barn. And Daniel is the one, along with his mom, who's put up with the most. And our kids and the mothers, the parents, have the hardest job to go through medical treatments, but he's a trooper, and we've done what we can for him, and we continue to do it because we believe his potential is what we want to reach for. I mean, he's got a lot to say for himself. He swallows his own capsules now, which a lot of adults don't do.
This from a child they said wouldn't swallow at all.
And he has a feeding tube.
He had a feeding tube because his larynx became paralyzed during that terrible, terrible time. And again, as my husband referred, that he's also humble, and I have to tell you, it's not just Daniel he helps. He has founded a practice, Whole Health and Wellness, and he biomedically treats these children. You've seen some of the recovery stories. I often have to remind him we have autism at home. But he's changing the world for these children. He's changing it in a way that's controversial and that's difficult. He stood up against the whole medical community. He stood up against pharmaceutical companies, against insurance companies, because this is an issue that you and I are not going to let die, that Jenny McCarthy's not going to let die, that all of these strong, intelligent, educated parents are not going to let die. And they can say that we're hysterical, that we're just searching for answers. Of course we're searching for answers. And we are not hysterical. And there's science. There's medical science to back it up. There's research. He's done more research on all of the autisms to indicate this is a biomedical issue. This is a medical issue and can be recovered. He sees recovery in his office every single day.
It's true. I mean, we believe that biomedical means there's an internal basis to what is wrong and what's troubling our kids. Why do they have stims? Why do they drag their heads? Why? I mean, one of the mothers asked me today here at our conference, we're at a conference about this issue, why is my son dragging his head? Well, something internal is wrong. Either it's pain from brain inflammation, a headache from some other cause. Does he have yeast that's making him want to feel more on top of his head? Is he feeling that he's not thinking clearly and he's trying to almost get his head jolted? I don't know, but I know something that I believe is internally wrong with that child that we want to help by medically, biologically treating it. That's why we do the diets. That's why we do things that we believe in for enzymes, for example. With Enzyme Medica, we do those things from compounding pharmacies. We do things that cover a smattering of everything, because when something's not right, you can bet that many parts of everything have really gone awry with our kids internally. That's the internal basis of autism, and that's the biomedical concept.
Well, and I know today, you know, starting where you started from, and today being one of the leaders, you are a medical director, I know, for a few places, right?
Well, for the Autism Hope Alliance, I'm the medical and scientific director, and also for the U.S. Autism and Asperger Association. You did mention the American Medical Autism Board, which wants to educate the public and help to certify doctors in this area of biomedical treatment for autism, Asperger's, PDD, ADHD, and so on.
And you founded the American Medical Autism Board as well.
Yep.
You've been a very busy person.
Well, and you can thank this lady for that.
Well,
my son,
you know, I'm a
because,
woman, so I have to say this: behind every great man is a greater woman. Now, that's totally biased, but I just have to say, and I do believe that, because you need that support system.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to be. He has to be able to work with these children, to have the time to do the research. He still manages to be a great dad. My husband and my son, I'll be driving in the car and my son will be in the back, and I'll just hear him go, "That daddy is so fun."
oh, I love that.
They are huge pals, and the moment he walks in the door, he makes Phil take off his tie and belt, because that's indicative that he's staying home.
Right.
And he looks at me and says, "Mommy, go run some errands."
No, he doesn't. And you're like, okay, bye-bye.
Don't need to tell me twice, yeah.
Mommy will be back.
But yeah, he does.
I
He's
love
done
that.
a tremendous number of things. Chief Medical Officer for the U.S. Autism and Asperger's Association.